in the time after King Arthur, Andelkrag and more. Our story. The Visigoths lose the first battle in the north but remain strong and well-fortified castles in central Gaul. But before we get on with the many and various battles for those castles, our story turns to Castle Andelkrag in Saxony, the home of the warrior troubadours, the only fortress in Europe not yet taken by the enemy. But first, even before we get to that, our story must flash back to Thule. It is about a month before the invasion of Europe. Son of Ern. It is under prolonged siege by the Huns, and time is running out. King Ern receives a desperate plea for help from Castle Andelkrag. We are in Thule now.
We must send someone there to give them hope that help will be on the way if they can only hold out a bit longer.
He is Ern's son, Val. He is young, eager, restless, and impatient like his grandfather. A volunteer steps forward.
And was rechristened Val in honor of my father, who the young boy resembled in both appearance and trait. When I married Maud some 8 years ago, the boy legally became Crown Prince of Thule. When I met Maud, now some 15 years ago, she conceived a son by me.
Unable to sit still for long, he seizes on this opportunity. Already a full squire at the age of 13, young Val is well on his way to knighthood now at age 15. For now, we shall call him Young Val to avoid any confusion with Prince Valor of Arthur's day.
All right, Val, you are going. They too could not be kept at home. But in looking at my son and his determination, I see plainly the two crown princes of Thule who came before. I am about to refuse young Val's request,
Ern says to his only son.
I ask but one thing of you now. Take Flamberge, the swinging sword, with you. If not, then report their condition back to me. If you can reach them, give them hope. The troubadours who have given us so much must be preserved at any cost.
I will, father. Now soon I must leave.
I know,
Ern replies.
I will be there to join you within 2 months with my armies, and together we will face the terrible hordes of Huns.
Together,
Answers young Val.
the swinging sword.
The Huns, having lost many men at Andelkrag, now throw the sum total of the region's forces in its direction. The Great Khan orders his field commander, Karnak, to send him Val's head or not return at all. Rory Moore, cutting laterally through Gaul in a successful attempt to draw the Goths to his fast-disappearing trail, receives new orders and races into Saxony to rendezvous with the armies of Thule and Jutland. Andelkrag has become much more than a simple castle. Now it is the symbol of freedom and goodness in a dark age and keystone of the early war effort. With the war in Gaul at a pause, Perceval sends his best knights racing into Saxony. With 2 spare mounts each to gain extra travel time, they ride day and night without pause. At dawn the next day, the Hun battalion issues forth, drums throbbing, spears waving, and swords clashing on shields. Like a great octopus, the Huns move slowly up the wide valley, their far-flung arms reaching into every fold and hollow of the encircling hills. Western Gaul. Alexis lands on the shores of Western Gaul as its regent queen, along with the exiled Franks. In these lands devastated by plague and conquest, the weighty cries of "Bring out the dead" by the pusher of the body wagon are at last put behind, as hope and life return to Gaul. Upon seeing their queen and their returning armies, the resident Franks rise as one against their Goth oppressors and drive them south towards Spain and away from the main Goth units in central Gaul. Angles and Saxons also land under Cheldric's command and begin to reclaim their homelands, with the desired effect of cleaving and isolating the occupiers' forces into small, harmless pockets which cannot communicate. For this was the master plan, allowing the remainder of Greece to be retaken by the Romans with Gunhar's aid. The Vandals wander deep into the African jungle, and the fleets in the inland sea are clearing a sea path to Jerusalem. In the Netherlands, Darely and her ice troops land in the base of the Netherlands at its narrow choke point, and trap many enemy divisions which have been massing there for an invasion of Scandia. The joint navies of Thule and Iceland surround the seaport. The entrapped Goths, upon hearing of the main invasions in Gaul and Saxony, and that a mere obscure queen and her forces block their way, rush to the south where the Icemen await, and easily fall prey to the Icelandic armies. Hagia Sophia. Hope lives eternally in the streets of Constantinople outside the church of Hagia Sophia when the defenders hear of the progress of the Allied forces. Perceval and Ern send orders that their thrones there be dusted off, for in Constantinople there are 3 extra thrones standing by in case the 3 other Christian kings of Britain, Gaul, and Thule should ever come to visit. Greece retaken. The Romans retake the bulk of their eastern empire in Greece, excepting Constantinople, while Gunhar's navy clears the Adriatic Sea and enters the Ionian. Those enemies who survived the Roman purge are pushed back into Austria. A mighty fleet sails between southern Greece and Crete and boldly enters the Aegean Sea where the mystical isles lie. Gelane's fleet races to meet the threat. Battle stations are quickly called and men scurry to their posts. Caught off guard, Gelane recovers quickly and after seeing to his battle formation, peers through a long spyglass at the opposing commander's ship. What he sees is somehow both startling and expected. In his scope, Gelane sees Gunhar looking back at him through his own spyglass. Friends meet at last. The meeting of these 2 fleets can mean only one thing. The inland sea is cleared of barbarians from end. Gunhar and Gelane now lead the way to Jerusalem and Constantinople.